Democrats with eyes on retaking control of Congress, promising to continue investigating Brett Kavanaugh even if he is confirmed to the Supreme Court.
There's a whole investigative process that can and should take place. And you know what? This is such bad practice that even if they were to ram this guy through, as soon as Democrats get gavels, we're going to want to get to the bottom of this. You can't ignore a crime victim's claim that something happened, refuse to investigate, throw her up into the stand without the least bit of support for her, without the least bit of effort to corroborate what she says, and then walk away from that as if you've behaved at all properly.
And the New York Times getting a lot of attention for this op-ed, making the case for impeaching Kavanaugh if he gets to sit on the high court. Okay, Jesse.
Yes.
It seems like there's a long list of things Democrats want to investigate if and when we take the House back in November. Do you think this is a real serious threat or just an empty threat?
Well, he's a liar because he doesn't want to
Kavanaugh?
investigate. No, White House. He doesn't want to investigate. The Democrats on the committee had their chance to investigate and go behind closed doors and interview Brett Kavanaugh. And they were invited by the majority Senate Republicans on the Judiciary Committee, and they abstained. And now they're complaining, and they say they want to investigate. Well, you had your chance. You're obviously not an honest broker in this process. They're also doing it to rally the base, obviously. And who knows, you know, if they do win the House or the Senate, anything could happen. It's all on the table. Impeachment, not only of Kavanaugh, but of President Trump. And I just think he was speaking the truth there. I think they're honestly going to go all in on this administration. All in.
Dana, do you think this, I mean, Democratic voters are very fired up. We've seen that the base is very excited to vote. How do you think that message plays? We're, what, 45 days to the midterms?
Well, repeatedly, what voters say is what they want is they want Washington to get stuff done.
Right.
If you are campaigning on only doing investigations of the president and his administration, that spells one word, and it's gridlock. So you don't actually get to what the voters say they want. It might be what the Democratic base wants. It might be something that they want, they want to fight. But it's interesting is how the Democrats seem to be flailing because they know that for 3 decades, the conservatives worked together to figure out a way to find really good nominees like Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch and John Roberts and Justice Alito and Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, there is a pipeline of excellent conservative judges, and the Democrats have blown this issue off. Yeah. They didn't care. So instead of actually winning elections so that they could put somebody on the court, they just want to impeach and investigate, which is pretty unsatisfying, especially if you want to go to Washington to do some good stuff.
Greg, I think that we also hear from voters that they want some accountability for the Trump administration, that they don't feel like the Republicans in Congress are doing much oversight of the Trump administration, which I would agree with. But what do you make of this?
Oversight? I mean, they've been subpoenaing the DOJ and the FBI all year.
We're going to get to DOJ in a second, but they haven't done, I mean, compared to the kind of oversight they provided to the administration I worked in, it feels different. Let's put it that way.
It's a very transparent administration, Marie. I'll say that. First, let's investigate Kavanaugh because after he's confirmed, because then your party would be able to prove that this merely wasn't political. That if they really believe this and they believe it with all their heart, they should investigate him. They should go for him after he's been confirmed. Because if he gets confirmed and then you never hear about this story again, what do you know? You know that it was 100% political. And while we're investigating, you know who else should be investigated? Who was the person that had a Chinese spy for 20 years as a driver?
Diane.
Yeah, Diane. And then while that was happening, her husband got rich in China. Yep. It was like an honorary consul or something. That smacks. I mean, a 20-year driver who was a spy. I think Dianne Feinstein should be investigated as well.
Hear, hear.
All right. We've solved a lot of problems here.
That is a very interesting theory, though, that if Democrats are really not just being partisan, they will actually continue investigating, even if he's confirmed. Morgan, what say you?
So, interestingly, I was talking to someone at one of the Republican committees about the polling, and typically what you see whenever you have a party that's controlling the White House and Congress, voters tend to want to vote another party in power so that there's a check and balance, right? This is natural in the process. What the pollster told me is that while there is an element of that that's happening with independents, what's happening happen is because the Democrats are running people that are so far extreme to the left, wanting to abolish ICE, socialism
in some
for all.
districts, not in
some
all.
districts. So, but the point being is that natural tendency of the independent to go towards the Democrat is now tempered by the fact that they know that voters don't actually want impeachment when you poll them. They don't want all of these ongoing investigations. They certainly don't want impeachment of Trump, much less a Supreme Court justice. So I actually think that Democrats do themselves a disservice for the midterms whenever they run on this. First of all, it's incredibly easy for the president to rev up his base whenever they say, look, they're not even going to impeach me. They're going to try to impeach Kavanaugh. I mean, that's like a ready-made campaign ad right there.
Well, and interestingly, Kavanaugh has really low approval ratings for a Supreme Court nominee. So
well, they've gone down in the last week.
I wonder how that happened.
Defend
before
himself.
that, even before these allegations, they were historically low for Supreme Court nominee. But we will see how that plays out. We will continue watching. Next week will be crazy.